What's going on, guys? Today I am going to be having a look at Todd Hutchings' first 95 kilo world title defense, which, to be honest, is going to be brutal. In this video, I'm going to go through and analyze what happened last time he faced this opponent, which could only be described as a bogeyman for Todd Hutchings, how he lost against him, and what options he has for trying to rectify that and getting a successful East vs West title defense. Now, of course, the man I'm talking about that will be challenging for the world title is none other than the Ukrainian's legend of arm wrestling, Rustam Babayev, the short, explosive drag hooker that is undefeated against Todd Hutchings. Yes, you heard that correctly. Rustam Babayev is undefeated against Todd Hutchings. So let's have a look at what on earth happened when these guys faced on the last two occasions, and then let's try and come up with a bit of a plan or a solution for Todd Hutchings. Not that he needs our help, but let's imagine what's going through his mind as he prepares for this title defense, because Todd has been in such a rich vein of form lately. He looks so incredibly dominant, but as soon as he gets the world title after beating Irakli Zarakashvili, he has to face his bogeyman. Out of the dark comes Rustam Babayev, the man who has flash pinned Todd many, many times. So anyway, let's have a look at it. If you didn't know, Rustam Babayev first faced Todd Hutchings at the Nemiroff Cup in 2008. And it was a little bit of a battle, back and forth, but it was very much in control by Rustam Babayev. He took control of the pronator. He searched for a couple of pins. It wasn't called. He went back to center, shook his head a little bit, and then just decided to pin Todd again. Rustam Babayev getting the job done in 2008, but most devastatingly was 2017's PAL Vendetta, where Rustam Babayev absolutely mopped the floor with Todd Hutchings. A 6-0 victory, dominant victory, where he even rubbed salt into the wound by top rolling Todd Hutchings with ease in the final round. Now, what on earth is it about Rustam Babayev that makes him so brutal compared to every other opponent that Todd faces? Because let's face it, Rustam's a hooker, so you normally think, okay, Todd Hutchings loves going with the hook. Todd Hutchings is the strongest man at pound for pound in the world in a hook. But no, it is not the slow pulling power or strength of Rustam that is the problem. It is the acceleration. It is the speed. It is the force times mass equals acceleration, mass times acceleration. It's that quickness off the go of Rustam Babayev that seems to negate all of the slow pulling power that Todd Hutchings possesses, and it's rather comfortable. If we have a look more closely at that 2017 Vendetta, you'll see that Todd was trying to supinate. He was trying to just get into a hook with him and just put the brakes on him and then be the stronger man that he really, no doubt, believed he was if he could just get the power down. But Rustam was so fast off the go. Rustam's shorter than Todd. Rustam, you can see his explosive drag hook. He likes to post up before the go with a zero load initiation. And then he just flies off the start. Wrist flexion, drag hook. He goes all the way to the back of the pad, all the way to the left side of the pad, and has Todd completely open up before Todd can even get any strength into it. Todd gets momentary stops at about half an inch above the pad, but by then he is well and truly out of position, whilst Rustam remains in a very compact and tight position, and it's done and dusted. Now, we see in the last round, interestingly in the last round, where Rustam puts on a bit of a show and top rolls Todd with some side pressure, some high side pressure. Todd's signature direct side attack didn't work then either. So let's have a look. If you're Todd Hutchings, you're the current world champion, what on earth do you do? Now, Todd is someone who I have spent time with in the past, and he says to me that he likes to identify what the critical lane is, go away, make that lane strong, and also prepare a defense as well. Now, I also remember when I was in Moldova with Todd Hutchings that he got flash pinned that day in a tournament by Alan Makiev, who was lightning fast. Alan got called for a couple of jump starts, but Alan still was able to flash pin Todd with a hook, with a press, with a top roll. He did it a bunch of ways in a bunch of restarts. So speed really is the killer for Todd Hutchings. Todd said to me that afternoon, Yeah, I'm American fast. I'm not Bulgarian fast. Now, in this circumstances, it's Ukrainian fast that is the problem, and it is very difficult to plan for. When you are in Todd's position, you certainly say, okay, let's assume that Todd is the strongest he's ever been. Does he try the same shape, the supinated hook, the catch and hold? I think that is a bad idea for Todd. If he just simply tries to do what he tried to do in that vendetta, I think Rustam will be very much in control and likely win the match. Now, what other options does he have? Can he top roll? Although people don't think of Todd Hutchings as a top roller, he does possess great back pressure and pronation. He often, in what would you describe as the Todd roll or the flop roll, Todd's wrist goes back and he drags through his thumb. This is the method he used to pull against the Rakashvili so successfully. However, does that work against Rustam Babayev? I don't think so, because Rustam Babayev isn't a top roller. Rustam Babayev is a no-load drag hooker who will take a deep and high grip. And I think if Todd tries to top roll, he will risk being disengaged and simply flash pinned again, not being able to get into his power. So the top roll, probably not the move. What about direct side pressure? Direct side pressure, we know Todd is the side pressure king. If he just says, I don't care what happens to my hand, I'm just gonna go sideways as hard and as rigid as I can. This is a better option than the first two, but it still risks losing a lot of hand control. We saw in the final round of the vendetta that Rustam, when Todd went straight sideways, top rolled him. And Rustam is not a weak individual. He has incredible explosive power. As soon as he got that hand control on Todd, he ripped Todd across the table to the pad, disengaging Todd's ability to stay stable with his side pressure. That is a risk again. Although if they're in the straps, you have to say it is slightly better than the first two options for Todd. But really, the answer to the solution for Todd is a supinated hook. A supinated hook is the answer for Todd Hutchings against Rustam Babayev. And let's be clear, there's no guarantee that he can pull it off, because Rustam may just still be too quick for him, may still be strong enough to defeat the pronator of Todd Hutchings. But a supinated hook will protect Todd, will allow Todd to get into the match. Now, we saw Todd Hutchings use a supinated hook against another world-class hook puller in Krasimir Kostadinov some 7 months ago. Todd dominated Krasimir Kostadinov. Now, Krasimir and Rustam are similar style pullers. They both are pretty quick off the go. They're both drag hookers, but Krasimir, you have to say, is more of a defensive hooker when compared to Rustam Babayev, who is an incredibly explosive offensive hooker. Now, if we look at the match, you'll see that Todd Hutchings keeps his pronation high. There is one round, I think round two, where Krasimir gets the jump on Todd, and he does drag hook, and he's the first one to initiate, and it's Todd's pronation that stays high from a deep grip. Now, this contrasting to the vendetta match where Todd Hutchings was supinating in the hook, this could be the critical difference. If Todd has that slow moving power, if Todd can keep the pronation just even halfway up, it should provide an opportunity for a stop. Now, let's be clear that this match from the go is most likely to go Rustam's side of center, and it's going to have to be fought back from there by Todd Hutchings. I do believe Todd Hutchings, if the match stops in any degree of center position, is the stronger man in an endurance hook setting. For all the explosive power that Rustam Babayev has, he will lack the ability to grind out the long match unless he has established superior position in the hook when it stops. But a pronated hook from Todd, if he can get that set, will be the key. Now, like I said, this is only theory. This is technical arm wrestling theory. This is what I believe Todd Hutchings will attempt to execute. A pronated hook from a deep grip where he keeps back pressure strong, keeps pressure rotation through the thumb as hard as he can whilst establishing wrist flexion. But it is no guarantee. I think this is the hardest possible world title defense for Todd Hutchings. Of all the people he could have chosen, England has given Todd Hutchings an incredibly difficult task by defending. He's making his first world title defense at the 95 kilo class up against Rustam Babayev, his bogeyman. Anyway, let me know what you think is going to happen. Will Rustam continue with his undefeated run up against Todd Hutchings, or will Uncle Todd, Toddzilla, whatever you call him, defend and successfully defeat Rustam Babayev to keep that East vs West King of the Table 95 kilo world title belt firmly around his waist? Well, guys, it's going to be a good one. It goes down May 10th at King of the Table 14. Do not miss it. It might be your main event. It might be a co-main event. It's going to be huge. Rustam Babayev challenging for the world title against Todd Hutchings.